At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Hey, and welcome to the Author Brand Show, where you're going to want to take notes. It's a very important show today. I've got a great guest. My gosh, great topic, and it's going to hopefully get you thinking more. Our guest is a serial entrepreneur and experienced business and finance executive with extensive startup experience. I mean, she's been a president and founder of the Startup Station. She's a CFO advisory and finance education platform for startups and small businesses. She's got great credentials. She's a certified CFA and helps fractional CFOs and founders. And we're going to talk about something very interesting today, and I'll let her introduce it to us. Welcome to the show today, Victoria Yampolsky. Did I pronounce it right? Yampolsky?
Yampolsky.
Yampolsky. Okay, very good. You got a beautiful, beautiful Russian accent, and she's from New York. And our topic today is why is there a gender gap with founders raising capital? And we're going to talk about that and why it's important for you, whether you're male or female, doesn't matter. And before we do, I want to get some ideas from Victoria on how she got started in this industry. What was your background?
Sure. So Doug, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a pleasure for me to be here to talk about my story and to talk about a subject that I'm very passionate about, which is the gender funding gap and supporting female founders and making sure that everybody has an equitable chance to access capital.
That's right.
How'd you get started my story, yes?
Go ahead.
My story is not an ordinary one. It starts ordinary. You know, I'm from Russia originally, an immigrant. So I wanted to have a safe career. I majored in computer science, went to business school, worked in IT consulting in Wall Street, and found both jobs as not very fulfilling because I also happen to be an actress and a poet. And those creative aspirations of mine weren't really fulfilled when I was working as an IT consultant or as a Wall Street analyst. And so in 2012, I decided to take a leap of faith and become an entrepreneur. And I went into film financing, you know, to kind of do homage to my creative endeavors, to my acting career. And that first venture, when I tried to raise $165 million, was a big failure. Now, $165 million did not even seem that big amount to me because I was coming from Wall Street where people were moving millions. Right. And mathematically, it made sense. And I was at that point pretty arrogant, so I didn't really understand the concept of failure. And I thought that I knew everything better than everybody, and I can redefine the whole, way how media and entertainment industry works. Yeah. And while this failure, and I spent 2 years doing it and let everybody down around me. We didn't raise any money. I made all the mistakes where, of course, I tried to raise too much money. I didn't do enough research on the people that I was working with, and developed some people who were not very trustworthy. I did not validate product market fit and whether my idea had legs, except in my head, but not in real life. But this experience was incredibly foundational because it taught me humility. It taught me that I'm not the smartest person in the room, and to listen to the market and to listen to others and to talk to as many people as I can when I want to introduce a new idea. And it also taught me resilience because I was able to bounce back and I was able to survive it. And I was able to understand that failure is part of the entrepreneurial journey. And when you try to create something new, yes, sometimes it doesn't work out. Right. But that is okay because when one door closes, another one opens. And another one opened into the company that I still have today, which is called the Startup Station, where I understood that the problems that producers were facing with their movies, where they were so in love with their ideas that they kind of forgot how to make money from their movies. And I'm talking about independent producers. Yeah. The same idea was present in the startup world, where startup founders were so in love with their product, were so in love with the new technology they were creating, that they did not really think through how to bring it to the market, whether it was feasible, and when they were raising money, how they were going to make money back to investors. Do they even understand how to track their progress? Yeah. And so because I come from a finance background, I created a whole company around educating female founders and male founders, and helping them understand how to use finance in order to accelerate their fundraising process, supercharge their growth, and mainly give their company wings so it can fly.
Hmm.
Because the way that I look at finance is that it's a language with which your company speaks to you. And if you're creating your baby, your intellectual baby, which is your company, if you don't speak that language, then ultimately you're going to let it fail.
Yeah.
Because if you don't understand what it's telling you, that there's no way for it to succeed, you're kind of existing in two parallel universes.
That's right.
So
Yeah.
communication is important in all relationships, and this is a relationship between you and your company that, and the way it communicates is through giving you financial
Mm-hmm.
data.
Mm-hmm.
And so my company is 10 years old this year. And 2 years ago, I embarked on another journey that's very close to my heart, which is helping female founders.
Right.
And I got started when I started teaching at Bank of America Institute of Women's Entrepreneurship at Cornell. It's a program funded by Bank of America. It graduates 100,000 female entrepreneurs a year.
Mm. Wow.
I was one of the facilitators, and I got an opportunity to teach growth, leadership, and communications,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes finance, which is kind of ironic because it was finance, that was my expertise, but I was getting different classes to facilitate. And I saw firsthand some of the challenges that female entrepreneurs faced.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, not all of them were external. A lot of them were internal. There were fears of failure, fears of
Ah.
rejection, uncertainty about how to balance their responsibilities at home and their work responsibilities,
Uh-huh.
not being sure when they were ready to take a leap of faith and quit their jobs. And also their almost timidness in dreaming big. One of
Hmm.
the questions that this, a course asks is, what are your medium, near term, and long term goals?
Right.
And I can't tell you how many women put down when they're just starting their business and the sky is the limit and anything should be possible.
Yeah.
The biggest they could dream was $10,000 a month in 10 years. And of course, when you dream to $10,000 a month in 10 years, you're never going to make 20 because your brain is not going to solve for that.
Right. Right.
And your brain is only going to attain, $10,000 a month.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I saw that, I decided to change it. And now I'm very proud to say that we're launching a second program that will help build resilience in female founders, that is
Mm-hmm.
called Female Founder Mental Gym.
Yeah.
So that's a short of my story.
That's a short version. Okay, I love it. Thank you so much for that. I want to dive right into this gender thing. So, if you have the information that I'm going to ask, great. If you don't have it, we can move on. But what percentage of founders are male versus female? Do you have any, like, a general number? Is it like 80-20, 70-30? I mean.
I don't have a total breakdown on the
Yeah.
number of female founders to male founders, but I can tell you what percentage of founders get financed. So 2% of all female teams right now get venture capital financing versus 98%, which is either mixed teams with male and female or all male teams. Now, if you take it down and you say, what if one of the founders is Black or Hispanic or LGBTQ, the percentages decrease dramatically,
Yeah.
right? If we're talking about a founder from another country, from emerging markets, the percentages will be even lower.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for mixed teams, the percentages are better. We're talking anywhere from, depending on different statistics, 10 to 20%, according to PitchBook. Now, that still leaves a gap of 80% going to all male teams.
Right.
And everybody is, talking about male investors not giving money to female investors and underrepresented founders. And I do not necessarily think that it's because men are bad wolves that don't want to fund, other
Mm-hmm.
people or, look at people from, some tower that everybody is not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there are people who have biases. I'm not going to deny that. But I think most people just operate out of convenience. All VCs have their established networks that have been established for decades where
Yep.
they get deal flow. One of the most important criteria for investment is the team and the personality of the founders and their
Yep.
track record.
Mm-hmm.
So the will goes first through trusted sources where they can trust the recommendations so they
Mm-hmm.
can remove some of that risk, personality risk, execution risk from their investment when they trust somebody through who they know personally. And because their networks are naturally more people who look like them may not be very diverse, their pipelines are not diverse either.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, it's not that men are bad. It's that there have been networks created over time and people are busy. However, if we'd like to fix the problem, in my mind, on the investment side, two things should happen. One, everybody should become aware that this is a problem and will want to fix it and open up their networks. Actively look for deals outside of their networks without compromising their investment
Mm-hmm.
criteria because there is a business reason for it. It has been proven that diverse teams generate 2.5 times more revenue than unisex gender teams. Now, why do you think is that, Doc?
I don't know. It sounds like it could be correlation, not causation, but go ahead.
It is because there is a diversity of thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our brains are structured differently. So the more diverse minds you bring on a team, you promote innovation, you promote better decision making, you promote better execution, you
Mm-hmm.
capitalize on natural traits that different people have instead of bringing a team that is very homogeneous who will only move in one direction.
Mm-hmm.
And there's multiple data around, how diverse teams perform better. So not only that it's a social reason to do it, where you want to go outside of your networks to look
Mm-hmm.
for deals that will have different team makeup. There's also business reason to do it because we'll give our investors better ROI. So one thing is, look outside of their networks. The other one, I would like to encourage any females who are established executives who are at the point of their lives where they can think about
Mm-hmm.
diversifying their portfolio to consider venture capital investing and to consider doing it in a way that is comfortable with their risk tolerance because we
Right.
females sometimes turn out, tend to be a little bit risk averse. However, there's two ways to do it. One is you can go to an angel group and become an angel investor
Mm-hmm.
and then go through the process to learn how to do that. That, however, is very risky because angel investors typically invest very early stage
Yeah.
where there's a very high failure rate. And if you don't really know how to do it, you're going to learn through mistakes.
That's right.
However, the other and the better option in my mind is to find a fund that invests however you feel
Mm-hmm.
comfortable and give money to them. Female fund managers face the same problem as female founders, where it's tough for them to raise money for limited partners. So, if all of us unite, we can together start solving that problem on the investment side, where open
Mm-hmm.
up their networks and then attract people who typically weren't involved in venture
Right.
capital to begin investing.
Yep. Love it. Okay. I totally understand the idea of having outside your network because we associate with who we associate with, and expand the network is always going to be a good thing. In terms of the gender gap specifically, you said earlier that maybe sometimes women is more of an inner game versus an outer game because when I'm looking at investments or looking at businesses, it's generally data driven. Hey, does this make sense? Does it make money? When you go on the other side of the equation, which you mentioned, which is the leader somebody you have confidence in, right? So, would you say it's more of a confidence issue in an executive team than gender? I mean, because there's plenty of weak men who don't raise money. Also, is it more confidence or
Absolutely.
gender?
But I think due to our brain makeup, when somebody becomes a founder, they're typically passionate and ambitious and they're ready to go. So
Mm-hmm.
they tend to be confident. And so
Right.
percentage of men who raise money just happens to be a bigger than a percentage of women. So in my mind, the problem is on both sides, right? There is a problem on the investment side where people are tied in their networks. There are not enough female
Right.
investors. And then on the ecosystem, on the founder side, there is a problem of female founders kind of shooting themselves in the foot of in terms of how they present their business, how ambitious they want to get
Mm-hmm.
when they feel they're ready for fundraising. And I have a great story to tell about
Yeah,
that.
I'd love to
I've
hear it.
been working with a black female founder last year, and this is what I consistently notice about all female founders. She already had a successful business. She was using it to fund her new business.
Mm-hmm.
The new business didn't have enough financial data. We spent a year, I'm not kidding, a year formulating assumptions for the model because she did not feel confident that she knew enough in order to put the data into
Mm-hmm.
projections. In the end, when we came up with the ask of 1.4 million, she asked me, do I think she can do it? Now, when you ask me if I think she can do it, I can tell you she cannot do it,
Yeah.
because it should not be a question in your mind if you
Right.
can do it. It doesn't matter what the stats say. If you don't know that you deserve to get this money and you are ready to do whatever it takes, whether you need to pivot, whether you need to talk to 100,000 people, you don't care, you're not going to raise money. That goes for men and women.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have, my relative who created a new device, and I love him. Okay, and that's not to belittle him in any way. He comes to me and he says, "I need $10 million," and I'm like, "Okay, so here's the questionnaire." He sends me a questionnaire with no data. He's like, "Build me a model. I need $10 million, and I need it in one raise because I don't want to go through the headache of
Multiple
raising
raises.
money more than once." And you know what? He's gonna get the money. He's gonna get it because of his attitude.
Yeah.
And both ventures can be equally deserving.
Hmm.
But investors look for personal risk. And as personal risk means, can a leader sustain all the ups and downs
Mm-hmm.
that will come as you grow in your business? All the shitstorm that's going to happen, all the amazing highs, right? So that it doesn't go to your head and you don't lose sight of where you're going.
Right.
And that is your resilience, and that
Mm-hmm.
is your mindset. And this is what they call grit. When they ask what is the single most important determinant
Mm-hmm.
of entrepreneurial success, it's not, oh, I had the very
Yeah.
good in technology, or I know finance, or I know, no, I'm resilient. I can
Mm-hmm.
take it. I don't care what life throws my way. I don't care if I have to start 10 businesses.
That's right.
The 10th one is going to succeed. Because Winston Churchill said, right, success is going from one failure to another without loss of enthusiasm.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
And so this is what we created in Female Founder Mental Gym. We
Yeah.
created this framework and environment so that you build habits to rewire your brain to have this unbeatable confidence, so that you can take on whatever the gender funding gap exists. And then you can raise money anyway because you believe in your idea. And if your idea needs to change, that is okay too. It can change, and it's not going to be the end of the world.
So
I
why is it
wasn't
called why is
destroyed
it called
when
a
my.
gender funding gap when it's obviously a confidence funding gap?
Hmm?
Why is it called a gender funding gap when we just described it's a confidence funding gap?
It's a gender funding gap because there are multiple reasons that go into this gender funding gap, right? There is a problem of, I would say, the way how female brains versus male brains are structured, as well as all the social environment that resulted in females thinking a certain way about their potential. I wouldn't say that just because everybody's born with different levels of confidence. There are reasons for it that are both biological and sociological. And then there's also bias on the investment side,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's also lack of access. And only now I'm proud to say that there is some movement towards creating a regulatory environment where it would encourage VCs to look outside of their networks
Right.
for investments. And here I'm referring to Bill SB 54 that was passed in California last year,
Mm-hmm.
that for the first time ever will require venture capital firms to disclose how they invest, which companies they invest in, as well as the demographics of the founders in a publicly available forum.
Yeah.
And so this is the first time ever where everybody has got to own up to their investment practices. And we call it the awareness bill because nobody's asked to change their investment behavior.
Mm.
But maybe that's a time that somebody takes a step back and says, oh, we know there is a gender funding gap. It looks what we're doing in our fund. Maybe we can open up our networks and look for other deals.
Right.
And because the disparity is so big, even a small change in investment behavior, even 1% change, will mean
Yeah.
billions of dollars going to different founders.
Got it. So
And
what?
I'm excited to say that I introduced, together with my rep Alex Boris, a similar bill in New York State, and its number is A09786. It's under the review of the Economic Development Committee now. It hasn't passed yet. Our goal is to pass it this year. But between California and New York, we can access 50% of venture capital worldwide,
Mm-hmm.
because the bill reaches not just into venture capital firms that are headquartered in California or New York, but also into limited partners and also into companies doing business in those states.
Okay, so that's great. So you're getting, trying to level the playing field on access and networks. Give me some ideas on what specifically a woman can do to become more equal on the confidence side, because it sounds like it's still a part of the equation here. What are some of the things you do in your program to help the women raise capital for their ventures?
So what we do is we train our mind. Uh, like Buddha said, what we think we become. And
Yeah.
so it's very important to have the right perspective, to
Mm-hmm.
direct your focus where it's most optimal, to process your emotions, to handle better any negative setbacks.
Mm-hmm.
The meetings are structured as a combination of certain practices that train your mind consistently. So you build habits that make it easier for you to handle whatever comes your way, whether it's stress
Right.
or disappointment,
Yeah.
where it's ups and downs, as well as a big part of the meetings are sharing. Now, sharing is very important because you understand that you're not alone in your troubles, in your thoughts, in your doubts, in your fears, that everybody's together and then everybody's experiencing it, and it is
Yeah.
okay. When you talk through it, it's easier for you to process it and release it. And as they say in Russia, and I'm going to translate a proverb, a devil is not as scary as it's painted. So when you kind of talk it through, the devil, which is I'm gonna fail, I'm never gonna raise money, I'm never gonna get customers, this is not gonna happen, this person is a jerk, whatever it is,
Yeah.
suddenly you get clarity. So when you train your mind, you get clarity, and it gives you confidence, and it
Mm-hmm.
gives you the right focus, and it gives you the motivation, and it also helps you avoid burnout because this
Yeah.
journey is long.
Right.
And then it's not as it's not a race, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
marathon, and in order to survive a marathon, you need to be resilient. I
And
want to
train
bring
for it.
up actually Roger Federer.
Yeah.
He's a very famous tennis player. He's retired now, somebody who I deeply admire.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why he said he's been able to achieve so many titles was because part of his daily routine was working on his mind.
Yeah.
If you talk to Tom Brady, who's one of the greatest quarterbacks, he's now doing an ad for better health because he's been in therapy
Yeah.
for like 25 years because
Mm-hmm.
working on his mind led him to all the success that he's
Mm-hmm.
had. So I believe that it's something that people don't talk about. Yes, you do need to have an idea, and you do need to know finance, and you do need a product market fit, and you do need a good go to market strategy. But you can solve for all of that if you have the right mindset. And
I
this
love
is
it.
what we're giving, and this is what female founders can do. And then trust. I'm reading this amazing book by Jen Sincero, and it's called "You're a Badass." And I really relate to what she said in a chapter called "Drama: The Drama of Overwhelm." And she said, "You can either choose fear or faith in the unknown."
Mm-hmm.
And so this is what another thing that we're gonna introduce in our program is that you can choose, but we encourage you to choose faith in the unknown. Do what is up to you, and then have faith.
Yeah.
Have faith in the unknown, have faith in yourself that you will be guided to where you're supposed to go. And then it makes it easier to accept whatever other things are happening. If it's
That's right.
something that work out, that's fine because you have faith in the unknown. So you're just supposed to change direction. You
Yeah.
know,
I love it. I love it. How can female founders get a hold of you and get access to this?
So female founder, female gym is open for registrations. We have um, 15 spots available out of 20. Already began filling up. The price is also great. It's $180 for 12 meetings, and we're including 4 bonus sessions on finance and fundraising, sales and go-to-market strategy, marketing and legal to help with some of the subject matter experts. So go to the website thestartupstation.com and click on Power Up Globally, which is our bigger initiatives for solving for gender funding gap, and go to Power Up Globally coaching program, and that's where you can register.
Okay.
And you're not going to regret it.
If you didn't follow that, folks, it's right below here in the show notes. You can see those links right below there. Click on that and get more information about this amazing support group, sounds like, to help women actually go raise the
Emotional
capital they
support.
need, right?
Yes, it's an emotional support community and a framework to develop habits that will change your life.
Terrific. I love it. Thank you so much, Victoria. Appreciate you having on the show today. Thanks.
Thank you so much.
You bet. And that concludes our show today. You're going to want to take notes. If you didn't take notes, you can click below and go ahead and download those notes and get this entire transcript, especially Victoria's link. So that's it. Have a good day. We'll see you next time.
Bye.